mama, look.
Look who's here.
Look who came to the table.
Looking fabulous.
Look, I decided to give you a little daytime.
I love it.
A little nighttime in the day.
No, I love it. I love it. You look amazing as always, but I wouldn't expect anything less.
Well, I knew who I was sitting in having a chat with.
Oh, well, all right now.
I know my audience.
When I first started, even before I actually started talking to anybody and just had the idea of doing this, I swear it on everything, you were the very first person that came to my mind.
Aw, I love you.
I'm not even kidding. I mean, you my sister in the spirit, right? But even outside of that, when I started thinking about all the sisters who surround me or that are super dope and that I wanted to talk to, you literally were at the top of my list. Out of all the people I know, I said, I got to talk to my girl.
And you know, a lot of fabulous people, Jazzy. So,
but guess who is the most fabulous?
I am honored.
Most fabulous right here.
Right here.
Goodness. But listen, let me tell you why. Okay, first of all, I always try to start this chat by saying the purpose. Now, March, obviously, and I don't know if this will air during the month of March because we at the end, but I give you grace, mama, because I know you busy.
And I had to slide in here at the tail end. So I said, I'm getting on here. Don't worry.
We know the month was really all about celebrating women throughout history, their accomplishments, past and present, all of that. And I love that. I think that is so dope. But for me, I felt we don't really celebrate those who are amongst us as much as we should, especially the ones who surround us. And I think when you've lived a little bit, you understand the necessity of having a good, strong sisterhood around you, no matter what station you are in life.
Right.
And so I wanted to be sure that while we're celebrating all of the great people historically, that I at least gave flowers to the people that I respect, I adore, I love, I cherish, and I wanted them to know how amazing they are in everyday life, but also how amazing they are to me. And so you fall in the category of both. Because there are some people that I've talked to that I'd never met before, but I watch on social media, people that I've met through other people, but also just in passing. But you fall into the category of both because I respect who you are, what you do, what you stand for, but also in our own inner sanctum, how amazing we have become as sisters over the years.
I love that. So first of all, let me say thank you. I feel honored to be having this conversation in this safe space that you've created. So thank you. For just creating this space because, we live in this world of go, 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 go. And the lives that you and I, professional lives that you and I hold, it keeps us so busy where we even struggle to pause to find time to fellowship with one another. So I definitely wanted to support you in creating and elevating this platform. And even though it is Women's History Month, to me, this is a platform that can continue 365, 12 months out of the year, continue.
And that actually is, now that I've realized how well it has been accepted, how people are embracing it, I thought, well, why not extend it outside of the month, but also, try to cause a reverberation so that it's not just people that I follow, people that I know, people whose paths I've crossed, perhaps people that I don't know, and people that I believe other people should know, should see. Because I think, you said something just a minute ago about how busy we are and how demanding the jobs can be, that we don't have the opportunity to kind of take some time to have that brunch, to do that chit chat. And, that can weigh on you mentally, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, this week, you and I haven't even had a chance to talk. So this week, I'm actually taking a self-imposed vacation, just a pause. And you know me well enough to know when Terry says she's going on vacation, it's some island, it's another country, there's a beach involved, lots and lots of sun and a lot of heat. Typically, but facts. Hashtag facts. But this time I really felt that the life that I'm living, particularly professionally, is on overdrive. And
Mm.
I just needed to slow it down and pause. And so I decided to take this week off to do a bit of self-care, just a little bit of going introspective and just working on myself, whether it be myself, my inner self, or my home that surrounds me. And I think it's so important for women who do have busy lives, women who are, wearing 3, 4, 5 capes, a day, that we allow
Yeah.
ourselves to take those capes off and just be quiet and get centered and go inside. And that's what I've been doing this week.
It's so funny. I feel like most of us, if not all, as women, I feel like we were born wearing capes. And if we weren't born wearing the cape, we put the cape on shortly. When others, as in the male species, had their onesies put on, we were given capes. Because I feel like, I mean, don't you feel that way in terms of the life that you've lived, the things that you've seen, and obviously to get to the station that you're in, and we'll get to that in a minute, just the surroundings that you constantly find yourself in, it requires a cape of magnitude.
Child. Yes. It requires all the capes, and, I say, I don't know if I've said this to you before. So some people I know, they will say, and you're not some people I know, to be clear, you are
Mm.
my sister, but
Really?
I don't know if I've said, I truly do feel that I am an extroverted introvert.
Mm.
Now, when I say that to people, they're like, no, we see you're doing this, blah, 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 blah. You're speaking here, you're speaking there. And, you're kind of a social butterfly. And I'm like, yeah, I'm all of these things, I suppose, but I like to get centered and be quiet. When I'm done doing all the what looks like show, I'm really just a quiet girl at home. So we learn to put on these capes, getting back to your cape analogy, we learn to put on these capes as we sort of build and grow in our careers and build our brands and become the successful people that maybe we have dreamt of being, or just we're walking through this world, really very blessed because we surround ourselves with beautiful people. My grandmother, one of my grandmothers, my grandmother Blanche, she's the one, I swear, who I learned about putting the capes on. My grandmother
Mhm.
was just as fabulous as they
Yeah, and I know her cape had lace
could.
all over it.
All over. And she was the you can be all you want to be grandmother. She is the one who went to college, in the 30s. You
Wow.
know what I mean? So she is the fashionista. She is where I really say that I model myself after. But you learn, to put on these capes, and it's not easy. It's
It's
not
not easy.
easy. It
It's
really
not
isn't.
easy. And I think social media makes it look easier than what it actually is in reality. But I guess that's what social media is now, right? It is really the movie theater on the go.
Life.
It is. It's the movie theater on the go with you everywhere you go. You are creating your own movies. And we all know movies are shot, then in post, they are edited. All the bad stuff is taken out. And I think we get to see other people that way, and we get to edit our lives that way. But like
Yeah.
you said, when you're done with the razzle dazzle of the show, you go home. And sometimes, I don't know about you, and I've said this to just about everyone that I've talked to in the woman to woman conversation.
Mhm.
Listen, social media is amazing and it makes life look so fun. And I'm not saying that life is not
Fun.
fun, but
Yeah.
when you go home, it can be very lonely. It can be very lonely because you feel like you're doing all of this work. Nobody knows what you're really going through. You're wondering, was the sacrifices that I made along the way, were they worth it? And I don't necessarily know that men have those same questions.
I just think maybe they have different questions and
Mm,
different circumstances. And I don't necessarily think that they don't have to wear capes either. You know what I mean? I think we make
I
that
would agree with that.
assumption. right? Because, this is a woman to woman conversation, but, when it comes to a man, I think, either they're inherently born with the cape, or they've got to learn how to put on a cape too and fake it till they make it.
Or
Because
find a cape. They got to find
oftentimes
their capes.
that's the expectation, right?
Yes.
In the roles that we live and the roles that we carry, but those roles are changing. So,
Ain't that the truth? And speaking of roles changing, in terms of roles historically, when it comes to women in sports,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
How do you walk that fine line of strength and femininity? Because I don't think any woman wants to lose their feminine, but at the same time, when you're walking, listen, I know what it's like to sit in a room that is all men, and I have to explain to them my value without raising my voice, right? Because I know immediately that will be seen as a threat. But even just not only in the boardroom, but just every day, because you deal with men all the time.
Mhm.
What is that like?
It depends on the day.
About a Wednesday hump day.
Sometimes it can be a lot of fun. Sometimes it can be exhausting. But the common denominator in sports, and at least for my experience in sports, is that I really genuinely do love sports. Right.
Mm.
I'm not in here trying to fake it till I make it and, act like, I don't sit at home and watch basketball from time to time, or turn on and watch the US Open, the French Open, turn on and watch the Women's World Cup. I am that girl, that actually does that. I ran track growing up. I grew up in a sports and musical family, where as children, we had to pick a sport and pick an instrument. And so sports is unique to me. I mean, I ran track just before college. I ended right at college, to my father's chagrin, because he wanted me to run track. He wanted me to run in college. And I really just wanted my life. I wanted to live and enjoy and experience college. I went away to school. So I really wanted to enjoy being away from home for the first time, and really enjoy that collegiate experience without the pressure of sports and practice and practice and practice, and, losing your life on the weekends, not having an opportunity to pledge a sorority, or do all of the things that I may have wanted to do. And so I opted not to run track in college, but that doesn't mean my passion for sports waned. So, when it becomes like, a woman in a male dominated space, I've always been there, before
Yeah.
it was automotive, career that I had. And that's very male dominated. At least in sports, I got to pivot my career in sports when I say Nike found me, when I say Jordan Brand found me. It was
Yes.
it was the pivot, in my career, and the timing. I say timing is everything. And I have never looked back since. I walk into boardrooms and spaces and tracks and fields and all of
And
those
you
things,
do.
as
I've
I do.
seen you. I've
And you
seen you
walk
out
into
there.
a room, and I've given this advice before: you walk into a room like you own the room. And when you walk into the room like you own the room,
Mhm.
people give you the respect that you deserve, because I don't just walk into the room like I own the room. I know my purpose. I know why I'm there. I know my expertise, and it is long. And so I come in and I own the room,
Yeah, yeah. I
how I
think that's
move into the
important to
space.
hear. I
It
think that's
doesn't
important to
bother me
hear.
or intimidate me.
Yeah, I think that's important to hear. I am not one of those people that believe that for the sake of being politically correct, or, fitting into some mold, that you should walk in and make sure that your light is not so bright so that it doesn't come across as arrogance. My thing is, honey, walk in that room and beam that sucker up. Now, that's what I do. I don't have a problem doing, I don't care if it's a room professionally, personally. I'm going to
Right,
come in, I'm going to be loud, either in my
right,
personality, my look, or just
right.
my aura, and perhaps my laugh. It just depends on what day it is.
Exactly. Exactly. And then I'm also, I walk into a room like I own the room, but I also am an observer. I
Yeah.
really, really do take in the room and really assess who's in the room, what voices are in the room, what talent is in the room, what expertise is in the room, and also whom can I learn from, right? Because growth, we're steadily on this, path of building and growing, right? I want to make sure I'm in a room where I can learn from people and I can grow. You know what I mean?
I think that's so cool. So let me ask you this, going back to when we first met. Now, I know what it was for me that attracted me to you to say, I really want her in my circle. Like I knew what it was instantly. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm going to wait, but I
Oh,
want you to tell me, what
yeah.
was it about me that made you say, this bitch is fabulous? I
You
mean,
are
besides the
fabulous.
obvious.
You are fabulous. God, Alice.
Besides the
I don't know.
obvious.
I really loved your authentic energy. Really, I think that is what sort of drew me to you. There's an authenticity about you, no matter whom you're speaking with, to be honest. There's a realness there. And then your energy, I got, you're a Scorpio, I'm a Leo, that fire sign,
Yes.
so I think, our energies, are very compatible. And so I loved your energy, your authenticity, your excitement. Like, you're just a fun chick. You know what I mean? And
Like it.
but you're a fun chick, but at the end of the day, you're also about your business.
Yes, without question. And see,
Without question.
for me, it was I've seldom met anyone, and I don't know if this is bad about me or not, but I've not really met many people that I felt like I really wish that we were blood sisters, because we share so much, we seem so much alike. And the same thing when I met you, I felt the energy, the authenticity, and we already know, just in this world, certainly in entertainment of any kind, sports or whatever it is you're in, it's hard to find people who will just be vulnerable and allow you to see who they really are
Yeah.
and be okay with who you really are.
Yeah.
And when I met you, I thought, man, first of all, this chick is fabulous in terms of her intellect, in terms of handling her business. And it was just a natural thing. I didn't have to make myself like you. I didn't have to bend any particular way. And I felt like it was like finding the perfect blue jean jacket. And the reason I say blue jean jacket is because you can have 1,000 jean jackets, but it's
Yeah.
only one that you keep going back to for the purposes of, this right here goes with everything. And for me, you were that.
My gosh. Well, I
You were
love
that. You were
that.
that. But and I don't say that to blow smoke, and I didn't want to hear that
I
for
know.
any other reason. That I think it's important that, when you're, first of all, to me, it becomes harder as you get older to
Yeah.
find friends that you really click with, not associates, not people who are coworkers that you just happen to go out and have drinks with, but like a real sister that you call when shit go left, or when you just need to
Right.
talk about something, or maybe you want to share a kiki. As you
Right.
get older, I think it's harder.
I
And
agree.
so, yeah, like I think it was easier when you're younger because you don't really know yourself. So you just ebb and flow with the situation. But as you get older, you become protective about your environment, about your energy, because you understand that life is short. And, I want to make sure that every connection that I make is giving and taking, giving. And it's like I said, it's a reciprocity thing. And with you, it was just so easy. And I just, the way that it happened, and I think we have to always be open to that as opposed to closed. Because I hate it when people say, at my age, honey, I don't look for friends anymore. What? I think
Right.
that's a little weird.
Hashtag no friends. Or no, sorry, hashtag no new friends. Sorry.
No new friends. Yeah. I don't think that's anything to
Silly.
brag about, right?
I don't think so either. I don't, that tells me that you're closed.
It does. It tells me a
Potentially
lot about who you are as a
closed-minded.
person.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
you mentioned also that, I know I hear this all the time. I'm going to put this out there between fam you, and AKA. I know. And I'm a Delta, we had that, but we roll, right? We still cool. What would you say are the greatest lessons that you've learned going to an HBCU, especially one such the magnitude of FAMU, which is right up there with Howard, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then, and the sorority life. A lot of people don't understand it. And my response to that is, if you don't understand it, I can't explain it to you. You either get it or you don't. But what would you say are the greatest lessons for you that you've learned attending an HBCU and pledging a sorority?
Oh gosh. Well, I think attending an HBCU for me, one of the biggest lessons is the
Mm.
confidence that you learn in yourself, in your power, and in who you are. I feel like I got the best education at Florida A&M University from the School of Business and Industry under Dean Sybil Mobley. I can run it all back for you. And
Amen.
all of the experience that helped cultivate, build me, give me my foundation in who I am. I think that's where a lot of that confidence between attending an HBCU and my grandmother, that that is where that drive and that confidence to be all that you can be comes from. You know what I mean? When you're
Mm.
going to class and you're with your classmates and your professors that look like you, that can achieve these lofty heights, then anything is possible. It opens up a world where you can actually walk into class, you can walk into a space, and you can authentically be yourself. And I
Right.
learned that. I didn't have to, I learned that, and that became part of me. It was inherent, I think, in who I am. And then I think, pledging a sorority, that's all about the deepness of sisterhood, right?
Yes.
So, I am blessed to have a sister and a brother. So I do know what that sisterhood is like, but a sisterhood of women all rallied around the same purpose of giving back into the community, of doing things that are meaningful in the world, taking on causes and championing causes, whether it's for children, humanitarian causes, whatever it might be, scholarships, education, to fulfill, without sounding lofty, mankind. Like it was a gathering of women with a common vision, that whom I've just grown to love as a sorority. I love my sorority. I love my sorors. And I love my Delta sorors too.
You
So
better.
I
I
love
bet you
you.
better.
I got a ton of Delta friends, so I'll be at
And
my
I got a
house.
ton of AKA friends. I think, but that's one thing I will say, and I want to be clear about. I think that, when I was in college anyway, I think there was this very superficiality to the thing of, we're better than you, and no, you're better, we're better than you. I think that was more of like a college thing, just not even real. That's why I call it superficial. Because I think just being a member of the Divine Nine, I think as you get older and you come out of college, you realize that it is an extraordinary thing to be a part of, number one, and that you're tasked with such greater things that people who buy into oh, she an AKA, so she don't like no deltas. Not
Not
true.
true.
Not true at all. We
Not
have
true.
the greatest sisterhood, and that's all of them. The Zetas
It
and
doesn't
Sigma
matter.
Gamma Rho, all
Yeah,
of us, because I think we understand on a higher level that we are called to do so many things. There's no time for that. There's no time for pettiness.
absolutely.
Like I said, when we were in college and you thought like a college student, you did those silly things. But I think as you've gotten older, at least for me anyway, you realize that all of that was just what it was, being petty and being young.
Say even when I was in college, I mean, yes, I had my sorority, but I had friends that were Deltas. I had friends that were Zetas. I had friends from all the sororities. I had friends from all the fraternities. It really didn't matter. It just happened.
Yeah.
Alpha Kappa Alpha was special to me. And those are the sisters that I really connected with. But does that mean I'm going to turn a blind eye to someone else because they choose a different organization because it serves them better? Absolutely not. And so I
Yeah.
feel like I've always been like that. I've
Yeah.
always been that way and open to people and their uniqueness and their experiences.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. I would agree with
Yeah.
that. Speaking of experiences, what would you say is the hardest thing you've ever had to do in your life? Like
The hardest?
the hardest thing mentally, emotionally, not physically, like I had to lift this sofa all by
Physically?
myself, but like, no, not physically, not like I had to lift the refrigerator by myself, not that, but like just either to wrap your head around mentally or just
Mm,
emotionally, professionally, like what's the hardest thing you've ever had to do?
mm. I wish I had some time to think about this.
Then it wouldn't be a chit chat.
I know it wouldn't be a chit chat. The hardest thing, I
Yeah.
can't think of what's coming to my mind is, I don't think what you want me to
It
say.
could be, no, I want you to say whatever you feel. It could be anything. It could have been like, man, I couldn't even get up out the bed this morning, or just whatever it is, like the hardest thing you've ever had to do.
Trying to think the hardest thing I've ever had to do. Um, there are a couple. Physically, I can think of the one that's in my mind is a physical one.
Yeah, that's fine. That's
And
fine.
but I have a number of things. Like I have personal, so the one that's in my head is, we're very active, right? We work out, we do sports, we run, we jog, we lift weights, all of the things. And I had an experience, and this is more around confidence than anything, but it involves physicality. So to make a very long story short, I was on a business trip that was sort of an active lifestyle trip
Okay.
where we had experiences for the press. You would have loved this. Experiences for
Mm.
the press that were off-roading, right? Off-roading,
Oh,
lifestyle, outdoor activities. So think of your favorite outdoor magazine and lifestyle that comes with it. One of those activities was called canyoneering. Do you know what canyoneering is?
I don't know, but it sounds like I'm out. If it involves a canyon and some earring, I'm probably out all the way.
So
Mm-mm.
I'm hoping I get the definition right, because this is what I was taught years ago. So canyoneering involves hiking and
Mm.
rappelling.
I think I
So,
might do the rappelling before I do the hiking. I'm not a hiker. I said it. There it is. I'm
well,
not a hiker.
my understanding is that it's the combination of the two. So we took
Oh.
a group of folks and we went on a hike. And at the end of the hike, it positioned you. I was in Moab, Utah, absolute beautiful place in this country. Moab, Utah. We canyoneered, we hiked through a canyon, and then we got to the edge of cliff. And once you got to the edge of a cliff, you had to rappel off the side of the cliff. The cliff, if my memory serves correct, was 200 feet in the air.
Yeah, I can already see where this is going. So did you find the courage or not?
I did. And
Good
not
job.
only did I find the courage, there were other people on this trip that did not have the courage to go over the side of the mountain. And I remember one such person, I calmed them down and I talked them through it. Now, I've never done this before, right? But I am always that person. You want the calmest person in the room. I'm the calmest person, right? In what might look like a crisis. This wasn't a crisis. People were prepared for this. But we were canyoneering on a rope that was tied to a tree and and hooks that were in the mountain. And even looking at it, I thought, I don't know,
Yeah.
but we're here now and we're going to do this thing. Right. And this is like one of those daredevil kind of things, kind of like, some people like to bungee jump
Yeah.
or, jump out of a plane or whatever. So this is one of those adrenaline rush type things. Now you have the right equipment that they're putting on you and all the things to go over the side of the mountain, but not a whole lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of you and the rope.
Yeah.
And
And
the
God.
equipment,
You and the rope and
you,
God.
the rope, and God, and this equipment that's going to guide you free falling. You're free falling. So you rappel off where we were was a short piece of the cliff. And then the rest of it was just a free fall. And you just had to learn how to work that rope. And I'm doing my hands like this because that's the motion that you do with the rope, to get down to the bottom of the mountain. And so that was physicality wise, one of the scariest experiences that I've ever been through. But it was such an adrenaline rush. And I did
So
it
I
with
would be
ease and I was
curious
so
to know.
happy. I was like, I'll do it again.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm curious to know, number one, would you do it again? But
Yes.
really what I want to know is what did it teach you?
It taught me that I can probably conquer anything that I put my mind to. It taught me confidence in myself, not to second guess myself. And I think with me trying to make others feel, I'm one of those people, I do like other people to feel good around me.
This
So
much I know. Yeah.
yeah, I do. And so
Yeah.
I really tried to make the folks that were really having a mental breakdown about it, really comfort them to to the best of my ability, to give them the confidence that they could do it too. So there was only
Wow.
one person that I remember that absolutely couldn't do it, and they turned back and they had to walk back and go back down, however they got down the mountain. But it was quite the experience. But it taught me a lot about myself,
Yeah.
in terms of confidence, because at that stage of my career, I mean, we're talking about this experience was easily 20 years ago. So, you're talking about at that time where I was sort of growing in my career, growing in who this Terry woman is, and
Hmm.
or becoming, as Michelle says, so it really, really fueled confidence in me that I didn't know that I
Didn't
had.
know that you had. And what would you say now? I mean, growing as a woman, what would if I could hear the little girl, Terry, what would she be saying now? Considering not just that,
Wow.
rappelling off of a mountain. I mean, my God, I don't know that
Girl.
I would like to say I could do it, but I don't know. Once I got there, I might be like, if this is the only way down, let's get it. But considering that and all of the other mountains that really metaphorically you have repelled from, when you consider where you are now in your station in life, what would the little girl Terry say right now?
Oh, little Terry would say, I'm so proud of you. Oh, it made me cry. That
Oh, well, because I feel like I've always said, as adults, we really are just a larger version of our childlike self. We've just grown, right? But we're
yeah.
still elementally the same. But sometimes when you are not centered, when you don't take what you told me at the top of this and even before, a staycation to mentally get it together or whatever, I think that little girl Terry and the grown woman Terry won't be able to effectively communicate. And that's just not for Terry, that's for Jasmine, that's for anybody else. And I think sometimes we negate the importance of making sure that we're still talking to our little girl inside of us.
That's so true. I mean, I do think, when you talk about that inner work and the inner self, and I didn't think of it in this manner, but the way you put it, it is like the little Terry in me was like, you've got to get quiet. Things are starting to spin a little too out of control and get a little too busy where you can't think and you can't focus on what the real Terry wants to be focused on, or what the real Terry should or shouldn't be doing, or how the real Terry should be preparing for not just today, but for her future, right?
Yeah.
Because, we are privileged to walk in the spaces that you and I are in. We are privileged to, have beautiful friends and, a home that surrounds us. But what's next? Because we can
Yeah.
keep that on button and we can keep that gear. If you ever driven a stick shift, you can keep that stick shift in gear 5, if you want to, because that's how I kind of feel like my life has been in gear 5, for months and months and months and months and months and months. And I got a downshift. Little Terry
Yeah.
is like, you got a downshift, sister, because
Well, if the little girl can't keep up with the grown woman, already it's a
that
problem.
part. Yes. Yes.
Are you
So
hopeful for the future for the grown woman, Terry? I mean, obviously you're hopeful, but like in all aspects, are you hopeful?
yes. I'm like, a little kid with her eyes wide open, like
Oh, I think that's
constantly.
awesome.
I'm a little kid with her eyes wide open, like, what's next?
Yeah.
Like I'm the little kid at the zoo, like, which animal is coming out from the cave? You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm, the little girl in the window, of the storefront. Like, what's the mannequin going to be wearing next? What's Christmas time going to be like? Like, I'm that little girl inside. And so, I think that as adults and professionals, we live our lives in chapters. And so I'm in a chapter. And so I'm excited about what the next chapter holds,
Wow.
and to be
Speaking,
lived.
well, if you say it's like a chapter, let me ask you this. The inlay of the book, when you open it up and you want to read what it's about, what would it say about Terry Hines? Like, what would it read? What could we expect from in a book about Terry? What would it say? Because most people want to know, what would the ending be? We know what the ending's gonna be. She's gonna be fabulous. She's gonna walk off in the sunset like, hey, bitches, I did it. But I want to know, what would the inlay say? What would that say?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. This is you putting me on the spot.
She was born in DC and she was fabulous and she learned from a fabulous grandmother.
All these things, I think, a creative, innovative, thought-provoking woman of God, woman who loves family and, who has the best of people and friends, sister friends surrounding her, someone who loves life and lives it to the fullest. Is all about health and wellness. And yes, I love the pretty fashionable things too.
Yes, she does.
She loves design and architecture and all things culture and the arts. She is traveled and she has the biggest heart and she is the lover of children and all the goodness in between.
Oh,
And hopefully you can glean some of her mojo.
see, I love that. And that's why I want, and you forgot the line about, and she's Jasmine's sister. That's why I got all of that. Because I think in the first 5-10 minutes of meeting someone, the way you would a book, you can kind of tell who they are. Now, I'm not saying the heart of who they are, but I think you get a general idea of what their book is about, and you decide, I want to read this book and invest my time in it or not. Right. And I think you walk with that air of, that's a book I would love to not only read, but keep, because I think I'm going to have to go back and reread and reacquaint myself with some chapters. It's not a book that you just want to read and give away. It's a book that you want to keep. Like, I want to keep this. And that's how I feel about you. I don't ever want you out of my life.
I don't ever want you out of my life either.
Girl, you ain't going nowhere. You stuck with me.
I know.
Whether we traveling, whether we're brunching poolside at your place or my place, we gonna always be together.
All the things. And hopefully in the book you'll glean some lessons too, because I do think I have, even though we touch on things here and there, I do think I have lessons inside of me about being a woman of color in the industry that I'm in, whether it's
without question
in marketing, whether it's building your brand, or whether it's being a woman in sports. I do think I have, some lessons inside of me that may, help a younger generation as they.
Yeah, which is what I really think you should write a book. You should write a book. And I know your love of doors, right? And maybe that's what it would be. It would have something to do with doors, the doors that you walk through, and everybody, the architecture of doors and how they look. I think they are an example of the kind of doors that you would walk through in life. And every door is going to be different, and behind every door is something different. But you know what? Behind every door is also a lesson.
Absolutely.
You're welcome. That'll be 25%.
Publishers Jasmine Sanders. I love
adore
it.
You.
I adore you too, and all them shoes behind you.
Let me tell you something. Half of
we're a lover of shoes. We share that love and obsession.
We do. As you can see, everybody who looks at this, now obviously it has to be theater of the mind because we run this on the radio show too, just so you know. So it's
Yes,
on
ma'am.
in over 80 markets across the country, audio.
I
So
really,
they have to just kind of wonder what this looks like until they go to social media, be like, oh, that's what they're talking about. Them shoes. I love, love, love a good
yeah.
shoe. And I know you do too, because I'm always looking at your shoes like where and how. And if anybody can find a deal, honey, it is you. I'm
I
going to attribute that to your grandmama too. She probably taught you that too, how to spot a good deal.
I love nice things. I do not like full prices because I know all about the markup because I've worked in retail.
Ain't that the truth? You know all the behind. Let me tell you something. You've taught me a couple of things. When we've been on vacation, you in the gift shop, because you know we love a good gift shop. We share that too. I will walk in there after you, and you say, look what I got. And I did not pay full price. I paid this, and let me tell you why. I'm like, now hold on.
Yes. I am the queen of, buy this, get this, buy this, you get this. And none of that was on a sign or anywhere. You just have to learn how to ask questions. And
Oh, you
put
do. And you
a little
ask
sugar on
them so well. It's like in hushed tones.
and you put a little
Ask you
sugar on
something.
it.
And then you'll lean it. Let me ask you something.
Ask you a
I'll be
little
like,
something.
okay, here we
Yes,
go. I'm gonna get a deal today. I'm gonna get a deal
yes,
today.
yes. And wait, I have a surprise for you the next time you come over. Part of my going inward and sort of working on, myself is also like purging, right? Purging my home, purging things that are, surrounding me. And child, I've been doing some purging in here. And when you see my closets the next time, I know this is very first world, but when you see my
No,
closet,
no, no, no,
you're going to
no.
be
Let
in
me tell you
shock.
something. Let me tell you why I don't think that's first world.
Mhm.
I know the one thing I am outside of my closet is a minimalist. In my house, there is nothing that is not usable and user friendly. I like nice things, but I like people to feel comfortable, put your feet up, all of that. Where I
Right.
have a problem, and I think it is no different than anybody else, it's the secrets. So the secrets are in the closet. So I hold on to a lot of stuff, right? A lot of stuff that I don't need, that I've outgrown or has outgrown me. And it's hard to let them go. So
Oh.
I think it might be first world, but I also think it's still very necessary because I think your closet tells you a lot about who you are as a person mentally and emotionally. And
And your
everybody should
home.
purge.
Yes, and your home. You don't have to have the nicest of the nicest things, but
Mhm.
it's the clutter, right? So I'm a little OCD, right? So I might have some clutter in my house. You ain't never gonna see it.
Ain't that the truth?
But that's
We
a
all do.
problem. But that's a problem, right? And that's something that, I've been working on, right? So you clear out that clutter and you all of a sudden your mind is freer. They say what the clutter in your home or the mess in your home is reflective of what's going on in your mind.
Lord, let me get a
And
offering
that
plate and pass it around
is
because people don't know that.
so true. Pass the plate. It
Pass the
is
plate.
so true. Your cluttered surroundings. If you're cluttered, you say you're busy. I got books. I got all this stuff going on because you have such a busy life. It's reflective of what's going on in your mind. And so I have been working on a lot of decluttering, a lot of moving things around and making useful the pretty things and making useful
Mm,
comfortable things or just the things that bring me joy. You know what I
that's a
mean?
word.
It
That's a
might be a
word.
plate. It might be a magazine. It might be a vase full of fresh flowers. But just putting the things that bring you joy and elevating those in your space and clearing out the mess and the clutter that is
Yeah,
not only clogging up your space, but it's clogging up your mind. And so
that's
you've got
wonderful.
to do that with your home and you've got to do that with your space. And that's part of what I'm doing. And then for the next chapter in the next conversation is the purging and the editing of your friends. Okay. Because over time, because we are at a particular age where we have seen some things, we have
Mm-hmm.
had some experiences,
Mm-hmm.
and we have had a wide range of friends. There are very few people that I can say to this day, I can probably count them on one hand, that I have been friends with since college to now. Very, 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 very few. But there have been a whole lot of people in between, right? Who
Yes.
I've either met, befriended, called a friend, really they were an associate. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
you've got to edit people as your life continues to grow. And those people that are able to be in your life from 30 years ago or 5 years ago, and they are creating authentic experiences and being true for you and allowing you to be your authentic, vulnerable, whole self. That
You know what? I totally agree with that. And the analogy I like to use when I do my edits is I'm not going to throw you out the theater. You can still hang around and watch this movie, but you might be up top. You won't be in the front couple of rows of you know what I mean? Like you ain't gonna get the good seat. You're gonna be back there. And in other words, I will still show up for you if you call. I'm not gonna completely throw you away, but I think sometimes when it's like your home, if you clutter it up because for whatever reasons, insecurities, you don't want to get rid of, you feel comfortable being crowded. You're right. There's no room to be able to actually see, the forest for the trees, right? You can't really see the beautiful things that you have because they are cluttered. I think friendships are the same way. I think sometimes you can be surrounded by so many people, you really can't see who's real and who's not.
And you have got to make sure that the people that are around you are edifying into your life, that are helping you to grow, that are feeding you, you know what I mean? And reciprocal, right? And that you're feeding them too, right? It's all reciprocal, right? You can't expect something from someone that you're not going to give to them, to
That's
give to
right.
someone else. And that's friendships, relationships, whatever that is, right? But you have to make sure that that relationship or that friendship is still feeding you.
Yeah.
Because friendships, they can change over time. They can take on different things, or you can find out that the person whom you thought that was a friend, whom you were feeding into, all of a sudden isn't your friend.
Don't say nothing on that one. That's happened to me a lot. And
That's happened to me in a very hard way.
Oh yeah.
So
I think it's especially difficult when you're at a certain, I mean, obviously it happens to everyone, but I will say that I think I will speak for myself. I feel as though in my head at this level, people would not come, that couldn't happen to me. Right. That in my head, I'm like, who would do that? Like, surely if she wanted to be my friend, she's my there. And it's kind of like a fool's game that I play with myself, because that's really what it is. I'm tricking myself into believing that, not because of who I am, but because of where I am in life. And I'd like to think that I make good decisions, that surely this person is really my friend. And then I find out they're not. And that causes me to begin to second guess, like, well, how did I miss that? How did I not know they just wanted to come in and take, or, use me for something and not really be there to edify me or my spirit?
Look, I've had the snakes in my life for over a decade.
Mm,
Finally, they bite you.
they gonna bite.
You're like, oh, but the signs were always there, right? Because you got to pay attention to the signs, and you got to pay attention to the people that have been riding for you and that have been close to you and friends. And when they say, something ain't right here, something ain't right there. And then when people keep doing that, you've got to pay attention to that. I have, a trait within me where I'm very trusting until you give me a reason not to trust you, right? I'm very trusting from go. And that is a hard lesson. Back to the lessons, hard lesson. That really is a hard lesson, being that trusting person and giving your all to a friendship that you thought was real, whole, and authentic. And in the end, that person was just silently taking from you, and you weren't paying attention. They were constantly taking from you. And then one day they just bit you and betrayed you to a point where you didn't even think would be possible from someone who is your friend. And really, the person never was your friend. You just left them to a space and gave them a title that they had never earned.
But that is also why doing what you're talking about doing now in terms of working on your inner self to clear out clutter and allow yourself to hear the little girl Terry talk to the grown woman Terry. And let me tell you why. One thing about children, honest, they see it, they're going to say it. You eat too much. What? Don't say that. I'm going to say it. You know what I mean? You got too much makeup. What? Shushy. No, You can't shush the little girl inside of you because she will tell you she ain't shit. Now I can say that. I know you won't, but I will. They will say that. And if
Yeah.
your mind is cluttered and full, you won't be able to hear that the snake has been hissing the entire time, looking for the opportunity to bite you. Now you on your way to the ER, wondering why.
That's why that hashtag no new friends is so ridiculously silly.
Ridiculous.
Right? Because yes, I've got the 30-year-old, friends, right? And yes, I have the 5, 6-year-old friends, right? And no one's better than the other. They just know more the stuff.
That's it. And it's
They
what
just
they
know
do
more
with the
stuff
stuff.
because
And it's
they've
what
been
they do with the
around.
stuff, right? It's what they do with the stuff.
It's what they do with this stuff. But that's why I think, being open and accepting people for who they are, because the 20-some-year-old Terry is very different from the 50-year-old some Terry. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
a very different, person, and so allowing new friendships and new people into my circle that are authentic and badasses and real and fun, like that's cool too. And thank you for allowing me to be vulnerable and honest and learn from you. And hopefully you can learn from me and be that sister girl, twin fire sign, Scorpio, Leo signs that, we are, because, I don't know, we just connect on that
We do. And you know what?
symbiotic level. And, our mutual friend who introduced us. Thank you.
No, I thank him all the time. And I'm so grateful. I have learned a lot from you. I've learned, because listen, I am a Scorpio, right? And I can be rough around the edges. I'm graceful, but I'm also a grunter. So,
Yes.
I have learned how to be more graceful from you. I've learned how to be more forgiving. Scorpios,
Y'all hold a grudge.
we grew, honey, gold medal in the grudging. And so I've learned to relax a lot. I've learned, I could go on all day about the things that I've learned from you, but what I've learned the most is to be grateful for every situation, to be grateful for where I am and the moments that I'm in. There are things that you've taught me without me asking, without you knowing that I needed something in that moment. Just a call with you, I learn on that conversation. I may not say it because, I'm still a Scorpio, so we secretive as hell. But there are things that I get off the phone, I'm like, I really needed that conversation, and she didn't know it. But that is also why I wanted to have this woman to woman with you, so I could tell you, Barbara, this is Shirley. Now listen, but more on a loving level about the importance of you in my life, how I see the importance of you in the world, the things that you stand for, the things that you are passionate about, the things that mean the most to you, that I have even had to take a look at my life and say, I really should speak out more. I've learned to be more courageous listening to some of the things that you say and just watching you move. And so I am grateful to call you friend, woman to woman. I am grateful of the people that you've introduced me to. And so I'm thankful for the time that you've given me today, the time that we're going to kick it on the weekends and the summer's coming. And I know we got some stuff we going to do without question.
Yes.
And so, again, I just adore you. I think the world of you, and I hope you know that.
I do know that. And I think the world of you too. And I love you, my sister.